After years of silence, his estranged brother suddenly reached out with one request, and saying yes would have cost him everything he fought to survive. The email subject line was polite. Almost too polite. Request for a conversation. Daniel Reyes stared at it on his phone while sitting in his car, engine off, hands resting uselessly on the steering wheel. He had just finished a 12-hour shift at the warehouse, his back aching, his head buzzing from exhaustion. This was supposed to be the quiet part of the day, the moment he sat there, breathed, and reminded himself he'd survived another one. Instead, his past had found his inbox. The email was from his older brother, Marcus. Daniel hadn't spoken to Marcus in 6 years, not since the funeral. He didn't open it right away. He already knew what it would say, or at least the version Marcus would tell. We should talk. Family is family. Life is too short. Daniel laughed under his breath. Short laughs came easily now. They kept the anger from spilling out. He drove home. Daniel lived in a small rental house outside Columbus, Ohio. Nothing fancy. 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom. A sagging couch he'd bought off Facebook Marketplace. But it was quiet. Safe. His. He fed his dog, Luna, reheated leftover rice and chicken, and finally sat down with his phone. He opened the email. Hey, Danny, I know it's been a long time. I don't expect this to be easy, but I need to talk to you. Mom's situation has changed, and we could really use your help. Please let me know when you're free. Daniel put the phone down. His chest felt tight. Not with sadness, but with something closer to disbelief. Mom's situation. That was how Marcus always framed things. Vague enough to sound reasonable. Gentle enough to hide the truth underneath. Daniel knew exactly what situation meant. Money. Growing up, Marcus had been the golden child. Straight A's, college-bound. Their mother bragged about him to anyone who would listen. Daniel, meanwhile, learned early how to stay quiet, how not to take up space. When their dad died suddenly, everything tilted. Marcus left for college 2 months later. Daniel stayed. He worked nights at a gas station while finishing high school. Paid bills, made sure their mom ate, handled the grief no one talked about. When Daniel was 19, his mother met someone new. Fast. Too fast. Marcus called once. You've got it handled, right? Daniel had. Until he didn't. The man moved in. The bills doubled. Then came the drinking, the shouting, the night Daniel packed a bag and left because staying felt like disappearing. Marcus never asked why. They drifted into silence so complete it became permanent. Until now. The next day, Daniel got a call from an unknown number. He ignored it. Then another. Then a voicemail. Daniel, it's Mom. Please call me. Her voice sounded older, fragile, and somehow familiar enough to pull at something he thought he'd buried. He didn't call back. Instead, he went to work. At lunch, his coworker Jasmine noticed he was quiet. Family stuff? She asked gently. Daniel nodded. Something like that. You don't owe anyone access to you just because you share DNA, she said casually, taking a bite of her sandwich. Daniel stared at her. She shrugged. Therapy taught me that. That night, Marcus emailed again. This time, longer. She's not doing well. The house is underwater. Medical bills. I can't do this alone. I know we didn't handle things right before, but we're asking now. Please. Daniel felt his jaw tighten. We're asking now. He thought about the years he'd struggled alone, the nights he'd skipped meals to keep lights on, times he'd wished, just once, that Marcus would show up and say, I've got you. Instead, Marcus had built a life. Marriage, career, kids. Daniel had built survival. Against his better judgment, Daniel replied, What do you need? The response came almost immediately. Can you meet this weekend? They met at a coffee shop halfway between their towns. Marcus arrived first. He looked older, heavier, tired in a way that suggested stress, not hardship. His wedding ring gleamed under the lights. Danny, Marcus said, standing. Thanks for coming. Daniel nodded and sat down. There was small talk. Awkward, stiff, like strangers pretending familiarity. Then Marcus sighed. Mom's health is declining, he said. Early stage heart failure, she can't work anymore. Daniel listened, face neutral. The mortgage is behind. Credit card's maxed. I've been helping, but... Marcus hesitated. I have kids. A mortgage. I can't do it all. Daniel took a slow breath. So, you found me. Marcus flinched. That's not fair. Daniel raised an eyebrow. Isn't it? Marcus rubbed his face. Look, I know I wasn't there. I screwed up. But this isn't about us. It's about Mom. Daniel leaned back in his chair. Everything's about us. You just didn't notice when it mattered. Silence stretched between them. Marcus slid a folded paper across the table. Numbers. Daniel didn't touch it. How much? He asked. Marcus said the number quietly. Daniel felt his stomach drop. That's more than I make in a year, Daniel said. I know, Marcus replied. But if we both help, no, Daniel said immediately. Marcus blinked. No. I said no. Marcus's voice sharpened. So you're just going to let her lose everything? Daniel's hands curled into fists under the table. She let me lose everything. That's different. Daniel laughed, bitter. It always is when it's not happening to you. Marcus leaned forward. You're punishing her. Daniel shook his head. I'm protecting myself. They left without hugging. That night, Daniel lay awake. Luna pressed against his side, thoughts racing. He didn't hate his mother. That was the problem. 2 days later, his aunt called. I heard you refused to help, she said, disappointment heavy in her voice. Daniel closed his eyes. I refuse to be used. She's your mother, his aunt replied. Daniel whispered. I was her son. The guilt crept in anyway. Daniel started questioning everything. Was he selfish? Bitter? Holding on to old wounds instead of being the bigger person? Then his phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. She's going to lose the house if we don't act. Daniel stared at the message. For the first time, he realized this wasn't about forgiveness. It was about whether being family meant sacrificing himself all over again. And this time, he wasn't sure silence was the answer. Daniel didn't respond to Marcus's text right away. He set his phone face down on the nightstand and stared at the ceiling. Luna's steady breathing grounding him in the quiet. The house felt small that night. Not suffocating, just honest. No one yelling. No one demanding explanations. No one asking him to be more than he could afford to be. That mattered more than he'd ever admitted. The next morning, Daniel called his mother. It was the first time he'd dialed her number in over 5 years. She answered on the third ring. Danny? Her voice cracked instantly. Is it really you? Yes, he said calmly. It's me. She started crying right away, apologizing, talking too fast, saying she missed him, saying she didn't understand how things went so wrong. Daniel let her talk. When she finally paused, he spoke. I need to ask you something, he said, and I need the truth. She sniffed. Okay. When I left, did you ever ask Marcus why? Silence. Yeah. Daniel continued. Did you ever ask why your 19-year-old son packed a bag and disappeared? Her breath hitched. I thought you were angry, she said quietly. I thought you wanted space. No, Daniel replied. I wanted safety. That word landed heavy between them. She didn't deny it. They met a few days later at her house. Daniel almost didn't recognize it. The front yard was overgrown, paint peeling from the porch railing. Inside, the place felt hollow. Half-packed boxes, furniture already sold. His mother looked smaller, frailer, but still unmistakably his mother. They sat at the kitchen table, the same one where he'd once done homework while she cooked dinner. I didn't protect you, she said suddenly, staring at her hands. I see that now. Daniel nodded. I needed you to say that. Tears slipped down her cheeks. I was afraid of being alone. So was I, Daniel said softly. I just didn't have a choice. She told him things then, things Marcus had never mentioned. How the man she'd moved in had convinced her to put bills in Daniel's name because his credit was clean. How arguments turned into control. How Daniel leaving had shattered what little stability remained. I didn't tell Marcus because I didn't want him to think badly of me, she admitted. Daniel closed his eyes. That was the pattern, wasn't it? Everyone protecting their image while he carried the weight. Later that week, Marcus called. I talked to Mom, Daniel said before Marcus could speak. She told me everything. Marcus went quiet. You knew, Daniel continued, about the bills, about the guy, about why I left. I knew some of it, Marcus said defensively. I was young too. You were 23, Daniel replied. You chose distance, I chose survival. Marcus sighed. I'm trying now. Daniel believed him. But belief didn't mean obligation. I can't give you money, Daniel said. Not for the house, not for the debt. So that's it? Marcus snapped. You just walk away? No, Daniel said evenly. I'm offering something else. He explained his plan. Help sell the house before foreclosure. Sit with their mother during appointments. Help her apply for assistance. Set boundaries. Clear, non-negotiable ones. I'll give time, Daniel said. Not my future. Marcus was angry, then quiet, then tired. Okay, he said finally. Okay. The house sold 2 weeks before foreclosure. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't fair, but it was enough. Their mother moved into a small senior apartment. Marcus helped with money when he could. Daniel helped with logistics, rides, paperwork. No blank checks, no emotional manipulation. Just what he chose to give. Months passed. Something unexpected happened. The resentment didn't disappear, but it loosened. Daniel felt lighter. Not because everything was fixed, but because he finally acted from choice instead of guilt. One night, Marcus called again. I should have shown up, he said quietly. I didn't, I'm sorry. Daniel leaned back on his couch, Luna's head in his lap. Thank you, he said. That matters. Daniel never moved back in with his family. He didn't become the hero who saved everyone, but he did something better. He broke the cycle. And for the first time in his life, that felt like enough.